Hey YouTube! In this video we'll be covering data types and also basic syntax for when you're writing C++ code. This is aimed more towards beginners, so let's begin. Don't worry about this stuff on the top here. This is for a specific type to not show an error, which is the string data type. And if you have any questions about some of the stuff, we'll actually be covering that afterwards. So the first one we're going to look at is bool. Bool stands for Boolean. A Boolean statement is a true or false statement, and it's I think the smallest data type that you can use because it only reserves one bit, a 0 or a 1. The other ones reserve more because they have to do with like characters or integers or stuff like that. So this is a declaration. This is what the actual data type is. The next one is a variable, which you can write literally anything you want. So I could change this to random bool, and that's also okay. And then you have the choice to either initialize the variable. In this case, I initialized it to true. You can also do a false, so on and so forth. Or you can make it an empty variable by just putting a semicolon there, and that's also okay. That basically means that you're going to be using it later, and right now you don't want to put anything inside of it. The semicolon is like a period at the end of a sentence. The semicolon tells the compiler, if you remember from our previous video, that this is the end of a line. All the white space in between does not matter in programming. So if I wrote something here and then I wrote another bool there, this white space is totally ignored. However, the fact that the semicolon is there means that it goes from here to the next one. Because technically I could also do this, and that's perfectly fine. It would be kind of hard to read, but perfectly fine. So, alright, the next data type is, we're going to do int. Int stands for integer. Integer is a number, a whole number I should say, negative or positive, and I think it's like 2 billion on either side, so you have plenty of room to work with. So let's say int random int is equal to 15. So there's the statement. It cannot be decimal points. We need to use a specific type for that. If you start using decimal points, you're actually going to have an error. So int is for whole numbers. The one that you can use decimal points for are floats. A float, also called like a floating point value. This can take decimal points. This one I commonly use, especially if you're dealing with Unreal Engine. This one you are going to have some heavy use of because of the decimal points. So random float 16.89. Okay. Next one we'll cover are doubles. A double is another type of it's another type of number value. In fact, it is it's another decimal point value. So like double, random double. So that's another type. Really, the difference between the two is space. And I also think that in double you can write more decimal values. But really, float and double can be used interchangeably because a lot of times they're for the same thing. Now the next one is char. Char stands for character, and those are individual characters, lowercase a through z and uppercase a through z. And I think that also includes special characters, but you need to be careful with special characters because some of them do mean things inside of them. So it's like random char is equal to t. The reason why I did that instead of something like this is because this represents a character. You can only really write one thing inside of them. However, this you can write full, complete either sentences or a word or something. And for that, we're going to use string, and then let's say random string. And so for this, we can say, hello there. Now, the string, everything else, you'll notice that everything else is in blue. This one is not, and that's because string, it requires a library to use. That's what all this stuff was for. Not necessarily this, but this and this was required for string. If I didn't want to use this, by the way, double slashes are for commenting. So if you want to just mark something out, not delete it altogether, just use a double slash mark. It'll turn it green if you're using Visual Studios or other C++ IDEs. And yeah, but you'll see that now there's an error. If I include it here, though, it'll turn it back. So std simply stands for standard. It's a standard library. A lot of times you'll be using that namespace, so I always include it on the top of my code. These are the most common types of data types that you'll be using. There's like more complex ones, and then when we also get to classes, which is a lot later, you'll be able to make your own data types, which is kind of cool. Yeah, but this is important for getting all the functionality that you want there. These are, once again, these are just the most common types. So I hope that this is helpful. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below, and see you in the next video.